Cleveland for more than 170 years, decorating doorsteps across Northeast Ohio every day.
The Plain Dealer is part of my day, the first thing in the morning when we have breakfast.
It reaches more than 1 million people on Sundays alone.
People just don't have the time or desire to read the physical paper anymore.
Tonight, the Plain Dealer is joining dozens of newspapers nationwide, changing the way it operates and delivers news to its readers.
The cuts have been looming for weeks, and today dozens of newsroom workers at the Plain Dealer were told they no longer work for the paper. Good evening, I'm Chris Flanagan.
And I'm Danita Harrison for Lee Jordan tonight. This marks the beginning of major changes for Ohio's largest newspaper. 50 employees were laid off today, leaving 110 people. Newspaper Guild members left in that newsroom. This comes just days before delivery of the Plain Dealer gets cut to 3 days a week, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. The paper will still be published daily and can be bought at 2,000 locations.
Our in-depth coverage of what these cuts mean for you and Northeast Ohio begins with John Kosick live at a rally in support of those laid-off workers.
Yeah, Chris, and these are some of those workers, journalists with hundreds of years of experience between them here at Cleveland's Plain Dealer, who found out this morning they did not have a job to come into. It was 8 months ago this week. During negotiations, the owners of the Plain Dealer told the Newspaper Guild they intended to lay off a third of the newsroom staff, around 50 employees. The union knew the cuts would come sometime after May 1st, but they didn't know when until yesterday. Well, today the axe fell, the eve of the paper going to a scaled-back 3-day delivery schedule next week. Union head Harlan Specter among those who voluntarily agreed to be laid off to save other workers' jobs.
They didn't ask for volunteers, but a number of people here, I believe more than 20, had stepped up and volunteered to be laid off, and they will get the same severance terms that were contractually agreed to, same severance terms as those who were pushed out.
You know, and what you have to understand is for workers like Harlan, who have been here for some 23 years, they left work yesterday not knowing it was their last day. So what they're doing here this evening is kind of getting together, sharing those experiences, saying goodbye to a lot of their coworkers that they didn't have a chance to say goodbye to yesterday. And then later on, they're going to move over to 7 o'clock to Ohio City, to Market Garden, to have a bit of an Irish wake, if you will. Reporting live in downtown Cleveland, John Kosick, News Channel 5.
The Plain Dealer is just one of 24 major metro daily newspapers here in the U.S. that have either made big cuts in delivery or publication or have shut down altogether in recent years. Plain Dealer was founded in 1842 after Nelson and Joseph Gray bought the weekly newspaper called the Cleveland Advertiser. Its website says it has 560,000 readers daily and 1 million on Sunday. The Alliance for Audited Media put its latest average circulation numbers at more than 311,000 on weekdays and nearly 459,000 on Sundays.
And the way people read a newspaper has changed drastically in the last few years, let alone the last few decades. And who you are has a lot to do with whether a paper plays an important role in your life. News Channel 5's Tracy Carlis continues our team coverage from the newsroom tonight.
Well, how the changes affect you might just depend on your age. However, the changes at the Plain Dealer certainly have people talking tonight. At the corner of 117th and Clifton in Lakewood is the Diner on Clifton. Inside, the portobello wraps, burgers, and Greek salads are on the menu. But today, in booth number 3,
How do you find out what's on sale?
these cousins chat about the changes with the Plain Dealer. Ellen Chrisman gets her news from the internet and TV.
I typically don't have time. I'm a mom and I work, and there's not a lot of extra time to sit around and read the paper.
But Deborah Cooper still gets the paper, although not daily.
I get the paper several days a week, but I don't get to read it as much as I would like. I primarily get it for the advertisements and the coupons.
Research shows that young people don't read the physical paper. On the campus of Baldwin Wallace University in Berea, Max Loeffler says,
I would disagree. I mean, I think that instead of getting our news from one source, we get it from multiple sources.
But among his peers, Max may be the exception.
I do everything online. I get my news sent to my email every morning. I use the apps on my Kindle Fire for news.
At the Renaissance Retirement Community in Olmsted Township, you better believe they're talking about the changes.
It's hard to read. It's not as convenient as turning the pages.
83-year-old Roger Reeves has been reading the paper since he learned to read. His dad worked at the Plain Dealer for many years, and for Roger, it's a part of life.
The Plain Dealer is part of my day. The first thing in the morning when we have breakfast, my wife and I both spend more time than we should reading the Plain Dealer.
For this generation, the change is not easy. 86-year-old Cynthia Duncan.
I do not have a computer. I hope in my lifetime I don't have to have a computer. So the newspaper has been very important to me.
So which generation is affected the most? Well, the answer is not black and white. And at the Renaissance Retirement Community, residents there say the management has worked out a deal to have the paper delivered in bulk daily, and then the staff will deliver the paper on the days door-to-door service is not available. On your side, live in the newsroom, Tracy Carlis, News Channel 5.
All right, thank you very much, Tracy. The cuts at newspapers nationwide also have people wondering about the future of journalism. Kristen Volk is live with a closer look at that tonight.
Yeah, Danita, this is no doubt a tough day for the journalism industry. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of upheaval. But the news about the Plain Dealer cuts didn't make local journalism students think twice about their careers.
I'm graduating in 3 semesters, and I hear all the time that why would you get into journalism? Newspapers are dying.
The answer to that question is simple for Kent State junior Christina Busseri.
There's a lot of stories out there that we need to hear and need to be told.
I think we need journalism to survive.
And senior Rebecca Rice, like Busseri, is committed to sticking with it.
I don't think that journalism is going to die out completely. I just think it's going through a lot of growing pains right now.
We've always been, as journalists, kind of the watchdog for communities. We've reported on community issues, community news, and we've brought communities more together.
That kind of in-depth, thorough reporting may be jeopardized, according to Thor Wasbatten, the director of Kent State's Journalism and Mass Communication School. But he says time will tell.
This is all a major change, but it's a trend that's going on around the country.
The Plain Dealer is one of a dozen major newspapers nationwide that's changed or cut how it delivers news. There are another dozen major papers that have shut down across the country in the last 5 years. That's according to the website newspaperdeathwatch.com, which tracks the decline of newspapers and industry changes.
And all of us are pretty saddened by what's happening.
But there's a strong sense of excitement among these journalism students, too.
News is something that people always need, so that's never going to be going away anytime soon.
And I enjoy that sense of importance when I'm writing stories, when I'm talking to people and getting information and trying to get it out there.
Both Rice and Busseri work for Kent State's newspaper here, the Summer Kent Stater. Now, Rice wants to build newspaper websites when she graduates, and Busseri, as for her, she would like to write feature stories for magazines. Live in Brook Park, I'm Kristen Volk, News Channel 5.